California Parks calls illegally collected artifacts.
People could face fines of up to $250,000 or even jail time for removing artifacts or disrupting the sites.
Mark Rober, he just confirmed that we are correct, that the dams have destroyed the old world. Dams are 100% destruction projects, and we know this. But what did Mark Rober just expose when they just went to the Folsom Dam, which is located right outside of Sacramento, California, and it's literally ground zero for the 1800s gold rush? They were scanning under the water with their sonar technology, and they went down and did exactly what I want to do. They explored what was submerged by the 30,000 acres of water and tried to find what they didn't want us to see when they submerged it 70 years ago. They found a bridge on the sonar, and when they went down there, they could barely see anything, which is exactly why they submerged it in water. They ended up seeing the bridge, and this is no cowboy and Indian bridge, as you can see from the old pictures of it, before they submerged it by the dam. Now, they were ultimately unsuccessful because of all the water. He also mentions in the video that a fire burned down all of the buildings right before they submerged the city.
But instead, what the scan revealed were just the foundations of the buildings that looked like this, because it turns out there was a massive fire that ripped through the entire town, destroying all of the buildings.
And we've all seen this exact same story in episode 142, where in the Lake of the Ozarks, we saw the same exact thing. They told us that before the old town of Lynn Creek was abandoned due to the dam, most of its 100 plus buildings were razed. The wooden ones burned, including churches with their bell towers, and they just knocked the stone structures down. Another church was both burned and knocked down. So we see a massive pattern here. Mark mentioned that he's been interested in this for years, and I'm sure he'd be a lot more interested in these dams after seeing all of our dam episodes. We all know that there's something about these locations that are special. There's a reason that they did not want us to see these places. They had structures that were obviously incredible, and they don't make any sense at all in our timeline. But we all know that there had to be something else about these locations, that they did not want people to be there. Possibly tunnels. This is a massive amount of land that they cannot just explain away with a story. Places in the USA that, in my opinion, would have ruined the mainstream history in a second. Which, for example, in this location, where the Folsom Dam is now located, we see that they were finding a ton of gold here. In fact, this entire location that they submerged in the 1950s is one of the birthplaces of the California Gold Rush. It was discovered right here at Sutter's Mill in 1848. Again, our timeline over and over after the 1800s. This was a major mining hub in the 1850s. And we get the fire nod, of course. This is an old world area, and we all know this. The dam intentionally flooded many of the original Gold Rush river towns and mining sites. So this is clearly not just about old world structures. It was about the items, the old world gold. Mark Rober, if you hear this, I think you're about to be a lot more interested in this location than you were before making your video. I believe that this location, it is filled with so much gold from the previous civilization. So much gold that it would drop the price of gold today instantly. And I believe that it would show that gold is not scarce. I believe they sunk this entire location to create a demand on gold. So, Mark Rober, or anybody else out there interested, I'm 100% in to go back and conduct a massive search. I believe that they sunk things that would blow our minds today. The gold is still there underneath that water without a doubt in my mind, and we are just getting started today. Welcome to episode 163 of my lunch break. I hope you're all having a great day, and if you're new, welcome. Thank all of our sponsors over on Patreon. Thank you to FlatEarthDave.com. You can check out his app, the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac app. I'll put the link right in the description. And you can use my referral code, MLB If you click the Tartaria button, you'll see the My Lunch Break playlist right here. The app is awesome. Thank you to Rebecca Kay, Chuck Templeton, Joy Lee, Stephanie Nolan, the Burlesons, Charles Kruger, Dan Woodall, Dale, DJ Clicktrack, Jacob Law, Jim Ribley and Christine Duggan, Kyle Glasscock, PKTFnews.org, Ben Dries NL, Natalie Shippenoff, Melissa Edgar, Biggles, Double Task Homestead, John Adams, Attila Power, Forbidden Gecko Love, Justin Grobner Grubb, Leah Strong, Dakota Dunn, Jason Hochberg, Marie C., Michael Dingyu, Patriot Armory, C3SCOB, SoniaDane.com, James Alt, Jason Press, Miggs, Mark Chapman, Ariana Oates, Nathan Burba, Ski, Beacon of Truth, Liberty's Arborist, Thomas Thorpe Peterson, Zinger Coffee and Tea, Emily Maryland, Curious Cat, Mike D, etc., Dan McGee, Lori Hedvig Johnson, Ellie Annie, Seth Craigo, Glenn Gunderson, Mousie's Mouse Cheese Records, Robert's Brain is Gone, Extreme Reality Check, Late for Dinner, Iolo Goncalves, Blake, Dax Bill Check and Son, Dylan Hugenberg, Robert Petro, Katz Hill, Susie Q, Yark 143, Doc Halo, Brenna Fernandez, Paraduction, Necrodemonics, A&W Kerrigan, Rod Wah, Sweetest of Peas, Road Warrior, Bruce Latour, Codrent, Devin Apoctoli, Ardra Rogers, Brazawayan, Armin Walker, Ivan Apoctoli, Laurel L. Burnett, Hoppy John, John and Carlo, Bill, Vince Moreno, Flat Earth Herb, Sven Eric, Ducks MDF TFB, Jeremy and Amy, The Arnolds, Digital Strategy, Earth Daughter, Eha Muir, Harvey, Bradford's Donkey Wagon Deluxe, Ernieho, Just Like That, Backyard Rob, DevlinMcGregor.com, D Woods, Sherry Frost, Lynn Thielen, Effie Patriot, Corbin Mechanical, Valhalla Stars, Kent Baki, Breaking Bigfoot, Trevor Cashin, Brendy's Brenna, Sally, Alpha Auto, Tahoe Highlands, Consulting LLC, Ty, Rebecca Klung, Tim Skin, ValleyMedicinals.com, The Lady Lacey Show, David Torres, Charmstar, Helena Funk, Once Upon a Time in Tartaria, Lucy, Shibba Shaba in the Darkness. You guys are all awesome and helping this channel out a lot. Now, in my opinion, they were finding all of this gold right here because it was a massive location from the old world. I believe that there was so much gold, so many old world items that they constructed with gold, granite, marble, stone, and valuable materials. They didn't have plastic vinyl siding like we do today. I know it looks great and it lasts forever. Oh, it doesn't? No, it doesn't. It looks terrible. Something massive was going on with gold, where these dams are today, where they're located. We already know that there was gold here. They were mining it right in these locations. But I believe that there's so much gold today still there that we would have all been able to go there today with our technology, and we would have been able to find so much of it. So much so that they needed to sink it with a dam to prevent all of us from doing that. This also adds a massive piece to the puzzle for all of the other dam locations that we've covered. Was there a worldwide operation? I think what we're finding right now, and a question that we have to ask, was there a worldwide operation going on to submerge old world sites that held and still do hold a massive amount of gold, all to drive the price of gold up? I believe that this is exactly what happened. So we have the Folsom Dam, which we just showed was a huge location for gold. And just 58 miles north, we have the Oroville Dam, which is the tallest dam in the USA, measuring 770 feet, where Oroville, or the word Oro, it literally translates to gold. We are 100% pinning this down right now. It's currently estimated right now that 6 to 10 million ounces of gold are likely submerged by the dam right now, which we all know would sell for $12 to $20 billion today. Yet they submerged it knowing this. Engineers can't build a dam without subsurface mineral analysis. This is clearly a manipulation of how much gold is in the world today. And at the same time, it submerges old world cities. These are the places that the old world used to live. And they would build incredible things using gold. Right here on this channel today, we have unlocked something unbelievable. Understanding that dams had multiple purposes. They're not just for power. They were to bury sites that had massive amounts of gold and to manipulate the gold market. For 120 years, they were uncovering gold right here at this site. But in 1961, they decided to submerge the entire thing. The Folsom Dam, same thing, flooding a gold rush era town in 1956. And the crazy part, and the part that takes this so much further, is that this is not just in California. It's in Nevada. It is at the Hoover Dam, where gold was also being mined here from 1850 to the 1930s, right when they constructed the dam. Again, every single time, it's the 1900s. It's an organized plan to turn gold into a scarce commodity, when in reality, the old world had a ton of it. It was everywhere. So breaking this down, we have the Oroville Dam, Folsom Dam, Hoover Dam, even the Lake of the Ozarks in Missouri had traces of gold, primarily being known for its lead, zinc, and silver, old world materials, completely flooding it in the 1900s. But down here at the bottom, we also see this was 100% going on in other countries as well. We see it in France, at one of France's oldest gold rivers, which has supposedly been documented since Roman times. Who knows if that's really true, after what we all know here. But constructing a dam right here during World War II, right while everybody's freaking out and not paying attention, where the dam ultimately restricted access to all of the gold. This is now a pattern, and it's clear what the purpose was: destruction of the old world. Massive locations that they couldn't just burn down. They had to sink it, while at the exact same time, they were raising the value of gold, now saying that it's scarce. I've had a ton of requests to include locations in Africa, so here we go. Zambezi River, the fourth largest river in Africa, stretching 1,600 miles, where millions of ounces of gold were extracted, and they never exhausted or fully surveyed the site before submerging it with the Kariba Dam in the 1950s, the 1900s, again and again and again, over and over. It doesn't matter which country we're talking about. We see the exact same pattern. Finding old world cities, finding old world sites, massive locations that were known for mining and held a ton of gold, and then sinking it all with a dam in the 1900s. One of the world's largest reservoirs, and we're all told that they built this dam to generate power, supplying electricity to mining operations that were producing copper. Are you kidding me? Sinking millions and millions of ounces of gold to produce copper. How much bigger of a joke could this get? An entire gold-bearing river system was permanently submerged on purpose to generate electricity for copper extraction. Are you kidding me? This is completely ridiculous and fully exposes their game plan. Nobody in the world would ever do this if there wasn't an agenda behind it. At modern prices, 1 ounce of gold is equal to hundreds of pounds of copper. So we are being told that there are millions of ounces of gold submerged by this dam in Africa. The story that we're all told makes zero sense and is clearly a complete lie. They did not submerge the gold for copper. They submerged it to manipulate the gold price, and we know this now. Now, who is manipulating the price of gold? Who did this? Who had the most gold in the 1950s? The answer is the United States, by a massive margin. The U.S. Treasury, holding roughly 70 to 75% of all official gold on Earth that was extracted and not submerged by the dams, where other nations were storing their gold in U.S. vaults, where the U.S. effectively, this is what we are all being told, controlled the global gold market. So who was second? It wasn't even close. The United Kingdom, with only 2,000 tons, and not one other country exceeded 10% of the U.S. reserves. Now, I'm not saying that I know for sure that the U.S. was in charge of constructing these dams and manipulating the price of gold by submerging every single location, which would totally drop the price of gold if these locations were still around today. I'm not saying that I know that, but thinking logically and based on all the information provided, it seems like they might have. While gold itself is naturally occurring, And these were most likely the sites that the old world set up their cities, constructing with the gold that was being produced. And coming from these sites, if the earth is producing gold at these locations, why leave? This point alone seems like a massive reason that they submerged the entire location to hide their structures and ultimately to hide these locations that the earth is producing gold, and to also hide the old world and everything that they were constructing with this gold. So yes, I do think they were finding the natural gold, but also I believe that they were finding the items that were created by the old world, that were pure gold. If only Donkeys Incorporated could have been around to get a golden chisel. The donkeys of the past, constructing the Milan Cathedral with golden hammers. It is a shame that they decided to sink these sites, but it's very obvious what's underneath that water at this point. I'm very thankful for the Donkeys Incorporated Club. We're gonna need to get you all some scuba gear. We're gonna need a report on what you find. You are all appreciated. And thank you to all of our badge members. Thank you to all of our Patreons and every single subscriber. You are all awesome. We are on YouTube. We're on Rumble, X, Instagram, TikTok, BitChute, eBay, and Spotify if you're looking for even more content from us.
And new tonight, a glimpse of our region's history now visible at the Folsom Lake Reservoir. Extremely low water levels have once again exposed a historic town that was flooded when the Folsom Dam went into place.
Now, this is clearly not just structures being buried, or in this case, sunk, like we originally thought. This is also items and gold, resources. It is a timeline manipulation, but it's also a commodity manipulation. It goes along with everything that we've ever said. This just exposes it so much further, that even the scarcity of gold is a lie, or at least the fact that it isn't hard for the earth to produce it. They just found the exact locations that it was being produced on a massive scale. They took enough gold and then sunk the rest and made a man-made dam in that location so that none of us, 70 years later, could get in on the game. If they didn't sink these locations, then Johnny Boy from 1980 could have walked over to the Folsom Dam location and picked up some gold and been rich for the rest of his life.
Specifically to explore what low water levels are exposing right now. Artifacts, foundations, and rock walls from a town that stood before the Folsom Dam went up in 1956, now visible, even though they're normally covered in up to 60 feet of water. This collection of artifacts right here, as well as these on an abandoned well, are examples of what California Parks calls illegally collected artifacts. And cultural resources experts are reminding us if we stumble upon them during a visit to the lake bed, we do not touch them, take them, or even move them.
People could face fines of up to $250,000, or even jail time, for removing artifacts or disrupting the sites.
We all would have done it. And what happens then? The price of gold comes down. Its value comes down. And these people that found the gold in the 1800s, the ones that have it today, they wouldn't be as rich as they want to be. It's not a coincidence that the main gold rush locations are now submerged underwater. And it's all for electricity, we are told, to make more copper. Not a chance. My main question for anybody on the fence is this. If they weren't trying to corner the market, if they really just wanted a dam for power, if they wanted all the gold possible, why didn't they find every bit of gold possible in all of these locations until it was completely exhausted? Why submerge all of these locations? And I'm 100% sure there are more that we will find. But why submerge these locations that are known for the earth producing gold and have millions of ounces of gold ready to be found? You would never submerge these sites if you really wanted more gold. You would never submerge these sites if you didn't have an agenda. From California to Nevada to Missouri to France and even Africa, it's the same exact story, the same goal, the same dates in the 1900s. Repetition, a pattern. And this is what we do here. We find patterns, we expose them, and we drive the point home until it's undeniable. And this is what we have done. And I'm not even close to stopping. I want to go there. I want the gold. I want you all to understand that the finders are manipulating the entire story. They're manipulating the system. And what we've been told about gold is a lie. because I want you to remember and never forget that the US dollar is literally backed by the price of gold as of 1944, where a global monetary order was created in which the US dollar was formally backed by gold at a fixed rate of $35 per ounce. And from there, other national currencies were pegged to the dollar, all because the USA held the most gold by far. With gold as the anchor to all money, they had to sink these locations in the 1900s, right before the 1944 date and right after it. They sank every single site that was used as a gold mining operation in the 1800s. The control, the manipulation of the world's money, all comes back to these dams. These old world locations that would have shown us that gold is not even close to as valuable as we're told. It's just a manipulated resource. And all of this is in my opinion. You can think whatever you want, but I've just given you multiple locations to dedicate your life to. A brand new hobby for anybody out there that wants to get rich. And again, one last time, if Mark Rober wants to go gold hunting, I'm available. We know a few places.